Hey, how are you? Happy birthday to Andrew. Yeah, of course.
What?
No, it's.
You finally got rid of the cowboy boots.
Well, yeah, it's broken in the 5th metatarsal, so. But I don't have to have surgery. All right, Bell Tire's back live here in Canada. Bell Tire's second game against Balmoral. We've got Agbe out with Cruciano, Orlick, Caitlin and Mackenzie on D, Streeter in net. Balmoral shot in, goes wide of the net, picked up behind the Bell Tire net. Streeter with a stick down, blocking that wraparound attempt. Breakout pass goes out for neutral, picked up by Balmoral. And back down into the Bell Tire zone. Sorry, this is a tight angle tonight. We don't have a whole lot of room to work with, so bear with me if I lose the puck from time to time. All right, Mackenzie with the puck in their own zone, going wide, looking for Agbe. Missed the mark a little bit. Agbe fighting and picked up and knocked down by Cruciano. Balmoral behind their own net. And that puck coming down in the neutral, picked up by Markovic, dumps back in. As Bell Tire's going for line change. Martin and Morton on for D. Hewer, Markovic, Cruciani out. Not Cruciani, sorry about that. Kazarowski out for Bell Tire. That shot wide of the net from Balmoral, picked up by Markovic on the half wall and knocked out of the zone. Battle right in front of the Bell Tire bench. Balmoral coming out with it, gaining the zone. And Morton trying to keep that puck from getting too deep. Comes out, pass across over to Markovic, missed the mark a little bit. And Balmoral back in the zone, picked up by Martin. Martin off the boards. Martin grabbing in her own pass. Martin into the zone, over across Cruciano, into the net. Martin ends up in the crease. And Balmoral coming out of their zone now. Clemens chasing down, picked up by Dobbs. Dobbs gaining the Balmoral zone, dumping it in. And Balmoral now, Cruciano grabbing that puck. Clemens with a shot, goes over top of the net. And that puck behind the Balmoral zone. That's dumped down by Balmoral on Cruciano, no call. Balmoral now exiting the zone into neutral. Coming across, shot from the slot. Streeter grabs it, holds on, and freezes play. Just a little bit. We're going to have a face-off here in the Bell Tire zone. We'll get the personnel here in a minute. Looks like Carlson out there. Caitlin Flanagan dumping it up the ice. Chipped in by Palucci, chased by Carlson. Balmoral retreating in their zone. Palucci on the wall with help from Carlson. Caitlin and McKenzie on D here. Dumped in. That's going to be sticked aside by Streeter. Played to McKenzie. McKenzie going across, looking for Cruciano. Cruciano now on the boards. Picked up by one of the Flanagans. We got a high stick there. I guess that's not going to be called. No big deal. Carlson gains his own. Shot is stopped by Balmoral's goalie with 11:42 on the clock. We got a Bell Tire line change. Agbe stepping in with Hewer. And Horlick, it looks like, I believe. And that puck coming out. And Hewer trying to get that pass across to Caitlin Flanagan. Now down behind the net goes Balmoral. Picked up at the half wall. Horlick contesting the puck. Picked up by Caitlin. Caitlin gaining the zone. Stopped by Balmoral. Caitlin getting it back deep. Orlick chasing in the corner. Agbe behind the net. Sending it out front. Picked up by Ice. Jumped over Martin's stick. That's going to go the length here. Martin's going to go back and retreat while Caitlin goes back for a change. Passed up to Agbe from Martin. Agbe to Hewer. Hewer's shot on net and collected in by the goalie. Good shot by Hewer. Quick pass from Agbe. Kazarowski out with Morton, Martin, Dobbs, and Markovic. Dobbs to take the draw, picked up by Markovic. Balmoral gains possession, dumps up. Martin gets a stick on it, dumps it to Kazarowski. Kazarowski retreating into her own zone. Back to Morton. Morton going up to Martin. Martin on the wall. Martin coming up the zone, passing it up, catching Markovic. And we're going to have an offsides here on Bell Tire just below us. So that is going to be, try and get this angle for you, right below us. Draw going to be taken by Dobbs. Dobbs won it back. Kazarowski sending it deep into the Balmoral zone. Chased down by Dobbs. Behind the net they go. Up the wall. Stopped by Kazarowski. Sent across by Balmoral. Out of the zone. Into neutral. Morton to chase. Morton in her own zone. Hits the brakes. Dumping it up the wall. Balmoral with possession. Centering pass. Picked up by Dobbs. Dobbs up to Kazarowski. Kazarowski dumping it up the wall off the ref and goes into the Balmoral zone. Balmoral going up through neutral. This is defended by Martin and Cruciano. Balmoral in the Bell Tire zone, up to the point. Shot in, wide of the net, picked up by Martin behind her own net. And chased down by Cruciano. Now Morton. Balmoral with a pass back to the half wall. Balmoral back behind the Bell Tire net, centering pass, cleared out. Balmoral regains possession, dumps it out of the zone, goes into neutral. Chased by Clemens. Clemens and Cruciano. Balmoral trying to gain the Bell Tire zone. Cruciano trying to hold it out. Dumps it out momentarily. Balmoral back with possession in neutral. Going up the slot. Balmoral at the point. Loses their footing. Picked up by Fewer almost and gets dumped back into the Bell Tire zone. Balmoral behind the Bell Tire net. Trying to wrap around. Net is off. Let's see if the ref fixes that. And that puck comes out to neutral. Balmoral now in their own zone. Getting it up the wall. Gains the Bell Tire zone. Dumped out by Day. And back and forth through neutral. Now Carlson going up the wall into the Balmoral zone. That puck's going to make its way behind the Balmoral net. Carlson picked up by Hewer. Hewer dropping it back to Bowman. Bowman sending it in. Carlson backhand towards the net, goes wide, and Balmoral picks it up behind their net. Hewer with the puck. Getting it back up to Bowman. Bowman shot in. Blocked by Balmoral. Collected in and out to neutral. This is going to be defended by Day. Balmoral gains his zone. Shot. Stood up by Streeter. And hit up the wall to Carlson. Balmoral dumps it back in. This is picked up by Day behind her own net. Day going up the wall. Getting it chipped out into neutral. Carlson sending it deep, and she's going to go for a change as Palucci chases. Palucci gets body positioning, but Balmoral regains possession of the puck. Sends it up ice. Agbe gets a stick on it where it does not come out of the zone, and now it goes out to neutral. Collected in by Caitlin Flanagan with McKenzie back on deep. McKenzie sending it up the glass. Gains the zone. Agbe applying pressure. Agbe now. Agbe off the wall. Back to McKenzie. McKenzie. Shot. Gets through. Goes wide of the net. Picked up by Caitlin. Caitlin shot. Blocked out front by Balmoral. Balmoral now on the half wall. Coming out of the zone. In through neutral. And Caitlin gets a stick on it. Now McKenzie to defend. McKenzie up the wall. Balmoral sends it back down deep behind the Bell Tire net. It's going to be picked up by Caitlin in the corner. She's got room to skate here. Sends it rink wide. Looking for Cruciano, who dumps it in on net. It goes wide into the corner. Chased by Orlick. Orlick gets a stick on it. D-line change for Bell Tire. Martin in with Flanagan. Martin turning up ice. Martin shifting ahead to Markovich, who is taken out at the Balmoral bench. Now Martin retrieving, gets a stick on it to stop the rush. And Balmoral sends it into the netting to freeze play with 6 minutes and 21 seconds on the clock. This draw taking place in the Bell Tire zone. Balmoral wins that back and dumps it deep. Picked up by Morton. Morton goes up the wall. So that outlet pass. Heavy collision on the boards here. Sorry, that is out of sight for the camera. Sent ahead by Morton, not quite out of zone, and Markovich is upended there. Balmoral, centering pass. Goes wide of the stick and ends up against the boards. Now back into the slot. Martin gets a stick on that shot. It goes wide. Balmoral behind the Bell Tire net now into the corner. Markovich is going to send that down the ice for an icing to get a line change for Bell Tire. 5 minutes, 36 seconds remaining in this first period. We will have an ice cut in between the first and second period. On ice are Caitlin McKenzie, Markovich, Kazarowski, and Cruciano. Cruciano to take the draw. That puck is down. Markovich steps through, grabs that puck quick, sends it aside, looking for her pass off the wall. Sends it across is Balmoral. Balmoral through neutral, defended by McKenzie. That puck goes behind the Bell Tire net. Collected in by Balmoral. Balmoral walking up the wall. Coming across the dots, looking for a slot shot. Unable to get anything off. Bell Tire applying pressure. Passed across. Balmoral's shot goes wide. Collected by Orlick. Orlick sends it out. That is going to raise the hand for icing, but it's not going to make it down. Balmoral collects in their own zone behind their net, chased by Agbe. Off the skate of Orlick. Lands for Caitlin. Caitlin going across to McKenzie, and that pass is blocked and sent in by Balmoral. Balmoral behind the Bell Tire net. Balmoral centered pass is just about covered up by Schroeder. Finally gets covered up and freezes play with 4 minutes and 37 seconds remaining in this period. Score is 0-0. On ice is going to be Dobbs, Clemens, Cruciano, Day, and we'll get the other D here momentarily. It looks like Bowman. Clemens fighting on the wall. Puck ends up at Bowman's feet. Balmoral collects it in neutral. Good stick lift by Dobbs to keep that shot from getting off. And Balmoral sends it deep. Bell Tire looking to clear the zone. Picked up by Bowman in the corner. Bowman shifting it up ice. Collected in by Balmoral. Now picked up and sent ahead to Cruciano. Cruciano now a little bit of room. Cruciano trying to turn the circle and goes into the corner with Clemens. Battle ensuing in the corner. Dobbs stepping in to help. It was out of sight for me, so we'll see what happens when that puck finally comes clear. Picked up by Balmoral and sent up through neutral. Chased down by Day. Bell Tire's offense going for a line change. Day coming up ice. Day into neutral. Chipping it ahead. Bellucci now on ice. Bellucci turning it with a backhand towards the net. Goes over top. And Cruciano picks that puck up. Cruciano circling in the slot. Going across the Day. Day shot. Blocked out front by Balmoral. And defended off as it comes out to neutral. And he picked up by Day. Day sending it ahead, looking for Carlson. Carlson at the half wall with Balmoral. And Morton checked in on defense here. Puck coming around. Blocked out front by Bell Tire. And Carlson chasing Balmoral across ice as they shift up to neutral. Chipped in. Martin to chase. Martin gets it up the wall. Picked up by Morton. Morton goes wide. Sent ahead. Going across. And offense is going to go for a line change as that gets dumped into the Balmoral zone. Balmoral collects. Comes up ice into neutral. Gains the Bell Tire zone. Balmoral circling. Drops it off. Picked up by Martin. Now Hewer. Hewer circling back in her own zone, trying to create space. Drops it back to Martin. Martin collects. Martin going across to Morton. Morton sending it rink wide. Gets intercepted, but picked up by Hewer. Hewer gains the zone, and now they're going to be an offsides on Bell Tire. We'll have a draw just outside of the Balmoral zone here. I'm sorry, it'll be up top a little bit. So the Flanagan's back in here with Agbe. Agbe dropping it back to Caitlin. Caitlin's going to chip it in. Balmoral's going to knock it down. It's going to slide behind their net. Agbe to chase. Picked up by Cruciano behind the net. And Balmoral comes out, coming up through their own zone. They're going to go up into neutral. It's going to be defended by Caitlin and McKenzie. Balmoral gets free. Dobbs with a big stick to disrupt that play. Open line to the net, and Dobbs came through to knock that puck away. Chips it out up into neutral, and Balmoral regains possession in their own zone. That pass missed its mark. Chased down by Orlick. Now Dobbs. And Balmoral now in neutral. Balmoral moving up ice, gaining the zone, defended by Cruciano, and now Caitlin Flanagan. That one-time shot was blocked by Streeter. Streeter is able to cover that one up as Balmoral threw it on net. 1 minute, 2 seconds remaining in this period. Belle Tire going for a line change. On ice is going to be Hewer, Bellucci, Carlson, Martin. Not too many players on the ice. Hewer to take the draw. Puck is down. One back to Martin. Martin in the corner. Slides it around, finding Morton. Morton going up the wall, finding Carlson. Carlson trying to chip it up to Bellucci. Morton keeping it out of the zone. That puck is right below us. Sorry for the bad angle. There's a battle happening with Carlson, Morton, Hewer, and that puck finally comes free, and it's sent rink wide by Balmoral. This is defended by Martin. Martin down into the corner. Martin behind her own net, gets it across to Hewer. Hewer goes up the half wall to Bellucci. Bellucci can't quite make the turn, and Hewer to jump in and help. Hewer keeping her foot on that puck, making sure it doesn't go back the way into the Belle Tire zone. Balmoral picks it free. Martin steps up, gets a skate on it, dumps it to the corner, turns up, and goes up the wall, finding Bellucci. Bellucci, quick move, gets it around to Carlson. Carlson with a little bit of room, sends it in on net. And with just a little bit of time left on the clock, the goalie for Balmoral is able to turn it aside. That will take us to the end of the first period. We'll be going into period 2. We will see here. I believe we're going to go for an ice cut. So you have time to refill your drinks and come back in 10 minutes. All right, we're back here, ready to go in the second period. Bell Tire, Balmoral tied up 0-0. Starting out for Bell Tire is going to be Streeter back in net. Caitlin, McKenzie, Orlick, Cruciano, and Agbe. Cruciano will take the draw. That puck is down. Balmoral going D-to-D in their own zone, up the wall. Gaining the Bell Tire zone with a dump pass in. McKenzie chasing it down behind her own net. Sending it up, finding Cruciano, breaking out, going wide, Agbe. Agbe trying to get a stick on it, couldn't. Balmoral able to chip it back forward. There's a 3-on-1 now. Caitlin Flanagan, back and forth. Balmoral misses their pass. Unable to convert. Puck goes deep, going to be chased by Agbe. And an icing is going to be called on Bell Tire. We will get a line change. And we're just joking, we are not going to get a line change. Same personnel for Bell Tire. Orlick, Agbe, Cruciano, Flanagan. 14:26 on the clock. That puck is down. And that is going to be Flanagan, Caitlin, sending it up. Balmoral collecting it back in neutral. Sent back in. Balmoral looking for a no-look centering pass. Disrupted by their own feet behind the net. Sent back the other way by Cruciano. Trying to chip it ahead is Agbe. It's held up on the board. Sent back in by Balmoral. McKenzie going up ice. Sending it up. That's going to get touched in by Balmoral. Balmoral going behind their own net. Puck gets stuck in a little bit of water and sent around. On the half wall. Balmoral trying to exit and is not quite able to. Kasparowski sends it back in. Picked up by Markovic. And Balmoral collects it in. Goes through neutral. It's going to be defended by Hewer. Sent in by Balmoral. On the half wall, Kasparowski picks it up, chips it off the wall, goes back in. This is going to be chased down by Martin. Martin in her own corner. Martin flipping it up the board, looking for Markovic. And now picked up by Hewer. Hewer behind her own net, sends it up the wall, collected in by Kasparowski. Now Morton trying to get it up ice and get it out of the zone. Sent across to Hewer over to Markovic. Markovic's going to dump it deep. Bell Tire's going to go for a line change. Balmoral is going to collect in their own zone behind their net. Sending it ahead. Disrupted by Cruciano. Clemens now going up the boards with it. Sends it in. Cruciano behind the net. Gets hit from behind. And Clemens, we have lost all sight. And that puck is down in the corner. You're just going to have to believe me here for a minute. Still in the corner. Coming up ice. Clemens sends it up to Martin. Martin walks across. Sends a shot in on net. Goes wide. Picked up by Balmoral. Balmoral is going to try and chip it out. That's recollected by Bell Tire. Cruciano now fighting. Cruciano riding around the wall. Picked up by Balmoral. Balmoral now collects it at the dot. Sends it up ice. Stepped up by Martin. Martin trying to get it back deep into the Balmoral zone. Balmoral coming back the opposite way. Collected by Morton. Sent up ice. Picked up in their own zone is Balmoral. Balmoral retreating. Off the skate of Cruciano as it goes wide to the boards and is now grabbed by Bowman. Bowman sending it up off the ref's skate. And Balmoral goes down to their zone. It's going to be an offsides. 11:33 on the clock. Personnel for Bell Tire is Carlson, Bellucci, looks like Cruciano, Bowman, and Day. Day going ahead to Bellucci. Bellucci gaining the Balmoral zone. Chips it ahead, goes behind their net. Cruciano jumping in, trying to help, goes to the corner, up the half wall, and exits the zone. Balmoral now on a rush, gaining the Bell Tire zone off the skate of Day, picked up by Cruciano. Cruciano gains the red line, now picked up by Carlson. Cruciano steps out of offsides into a bench, and Bell Tire regains possession. Belushi now going across. Carlson trying to keep her foot on the line, unable to, is going to be offsides on Bell Tire with 10 minutes, 52 seconds remaining in the second. We'll have a face-off just below us. Hewer to take that. Caitlin and McKenzie in on D. Agbe in with Orlick and Hewer. Hewer won cleanly back to Caitlin. Caitlin over to McKenzie. McKenzie dumps it into the Balmoral zone. Balmoral sends it around the boards. Caitlin's shot is blocked out front, goes wide. McKenzie's shot goes across, and the puck is loose, and Bell Tire is going to put it in to make this a 1-0 game. Bell Tire, we'll see who that was that put it in on the rebound. It looks like that was Palucci off of the tic-tac-toe ping pong in front of the net. I'm sorry, Hewer. Hewer is the one that put that in. So we have 10:33 on the clock. 1-0 Bell Tire is the score. Hewer to take the draw. Picked out by Agbe, collected by Balmoral. Hewer cutting off the lane for Balmoral. Balmoral regaining possession. Flanagan sending it up ice. Must have bounced off the netting, maybe? We have play stoppage with a draw that's going to happen in the Bell Tire zone. Line change for Bell Tire. Morton, Martin, Markovich, Dobbs, Gazarovski. Dobbs on the draw. Puck is down, up off the face of Markovich. Markovich shipping it around, using her speed to try and gain the zone. That puck coming back the other way. Martin chipping it ahead, finding Dobbs, and getting sent back in by Balmoral. Martin to chase. Martin racing it down, going across to Morton. Morton up ice, looking for Markovich. Markovich to Dobbs. Dobbs going up to Gazarovski. Gazarovski skating through. Dobbs picking up the loose puck. Skates over it. And that puck sent up to Morton. Morton's shot wide of the net, picked up by Balmoral. Balmoral dumping it behind their own net. Going up ice. This is going to be defended by Martin. Balmoral loses an edge. Dobbs takes advantage, chips it in. Bell Tire going on a line change. Clemens checked in. Balmoral goes out of the zone. Picked up by Cruciano. Cruciano chips it ahead, and Cruciano is going to pick it up here. Cruciano chipped in. Can't quite get it to go home. Cruciano now centering. Goes off a skate of Balmoral. Martin chasing it down. Picked up by Morton. Morton walking. Morton in her own zone. Off the wall. Grabbed by Balmoral in the neutral, and this is right below us. Now Balmoral regains possession. Defended by Martin. Martin gets a stick on it. Dump pass by Balmoral goes wide, and this is going to be picked up by Clemens. Clemens sends it up. Finds Cruciano in stride. And Balmoral clears back to the neutral. Morton on the defense here. Going to try and get it up the wall. This is going to be picked up by Martin behind her own net. Martin going up zone. That hits Cruciano in stride. Cruciano goes off the end of her stick, and she's going to go for a change. Balmoral comes back the other way. Morton on D here. On the wall. Again, out of sight here by apologies. And that puck comes clear of the Bell Tire zone. Defense is going to go for a line change as they were stuck out there. Hewer, Carlson, Palucci out with Day and Bowman. Battle in the corner with Carlson knocked up to Bowman. Bowman shot in. Goes off a leg of Balmoral. Goes wide. Palucci regaining possession here just out of sight of the camera. And Bell Tire keeps it in the Balmoral zone. Now they're retreating behind their own net. Sending it up center ice. Picked up by Day. At the feet of Palucci. She couldn't quite find it. Day steps in. goes deep into the Balmoral zone. Balmoral regains possession, goes D to D, comes up through neutral. That pass intercepted by Day. Day with a break, going up ice. Finding Agbe. Agbe, backhand. And Agbe's backhand beauty couldn't quite get the back of the net. So Bell Tire finding a little bit of steam here with 7 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the second period. Caitlin and McKenzie out on D. Dobbs, Orlick, Agbe in for offense. Balmoral in their zone, behind their net. Catching it on the half wall. Defended by Caitlin. Caitlin right below us. Trying to drive it home. Balmoral regains possession. Goes down 2-on-1. Shot. Defended off by Streeter. Picked up by Dobbs. Balmoral now. Shot goes wide of the net. Picked up off the half wall. Goes back in on net, and Streeter gloves it to freeze play with 6 minutes and 47 seconds remaining in this second period. Bell Tire up by 1. Markovich out. Kazarowski, Cruciano, and Flanagan's remain out on D. Cruciano's getting that puck against the wall, and that makes its way out to neutral here, collected in by Balmoral. Balmoral loses sight of the puck. Kazarowski chasing, picked up now by Markovich in the slot. Markovich going wide, dumping it deep. Kazarowski back, and that puck makes its way around the opposite way, and it's cleared out to neutral. Defended by Caitlin. Collected in the slot, chipped in. McKenzie able to chip that back out. Caitlin going around to McKenzie. McKenzie going up center ice, looking for Cruciano. Cruciano gaining the zone, stripped up on play. And we're going to have a trip there. That'll be a penalty. Bell Tire's going to go on a power play. There's a cross check there. 5 minutes and 55 seconds. Bell Tire on the power play. Hewer out with Palucci, Agbe, Martin, and Flanagan. Caitlin. Martin with the puck. Martin going across to Flanagan. Flanagan setting up the play. Going wide. And back to Flanagan. Flanagan shot blocked. Held in, and Balmoral clears. Flanagan to chase down behind the net. Flanagan going to go wide up the boards. Finding Martin. Martin with room here. Martin gaining the zone. Martin taking in the circle. Martin finding the half wall to Hewer. Hewer going up top. Flanagan, shot blocked. And that's going to be chipped down. Martin to chase. Collected by Streeter. Sent out to Martin. Martin turning up ice. Martin going wide. Finding Hewer. Wide at the blue line. Hewer dumping in. Bell Tire to chase. Palucci around on it first. Misses the puck. Picked up by Hewer. Hewer drops to Caitlin. Caitlin back to Hewer. Hewer in a battle with Balmoral. Drop to Flanagan. Flanagan to Martin. Martin shot in. It's going to go, look like tipped off the goalie's face mask and over the net. Picked up by Hewer. Hewer's going to drop to Flanagan. Flanagan to Hewer. Hewer walking in. Shot in. Goes behind the net. Picked up by Palucci. Palucci down to Hewer. Hewer up to Flanagan. Flanagan to Hewer. Hewer walking in, looking for a pass. Gets collected by Balmoral and sent the length of the ice. 27 seconds remaining on this power play. Collected in by Caitlin. Caitlin sending it up ice. Going to go the length here. Chased down by Orlick. Orlick behind the net. Now Dobbs. Dobbs up to McKenzie. McKenzie sending it down to Markovich. Markovich looking for Flanagan. Goes wide. 4 seconds remaining here in this power play. McKenzie goes wide to Markovich. Markovich going to go in as the time expires in the power play. Dobbs trying to find McKenzie. McKenzie keeps that puck in play momentarily, and Balmoral comes out with it. Martin to defend here. Balmoral loses an edge, picked up by Martin. Martin off the wall, gets it cleared out. Dobbs trying to chase it. McKenzie up to Markovich. Markovich backhands into the zone, and Bell Tire's going to go for a change, and that looks like there's not going to be a change. Looks like before Bell Tire was trying to change, it looks like on the icing, so the personnel is going to be stuck out there. We've got Dobbs out with Orlick, McKenzie, Martin. Dobbs take the draw, won it back to McKenzie. McKenzie going over to Martin. Martin collecting in, getting up to Markovich. Markovich with room here. Markovich gains the zone, tries to shoot it in. Martin going for a change. All the girls looking for a change. They were out there for the power play. And Balmoral going up ice, gaining the zone, defended by McKenzie. Behind the net goes Balmoral. Centering pass. Fought off by Bell Tire. Sent ahead, chipped in. That hit. And they're going to call icing. No, they're going to wave icing. And a hard collision in the back. Clemens now dropping up to Morton. Morton going back up the wall. Bell Tire centering. Going to have a roughing call. I think that's going to be on Balmoral again. That is on Balmoral, so Bell Tire is going to go back on the power play here. So with 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining, Bell Tire is going back on the power play. Agbe, Hewer, Palucci, Martin, Flanagan, Caitlin. Puck is down. Agbe to Flanagan. Flanagan finding Hewer. Hewer dropping down, looking for Palucci. Martin behind the net. Back to Palucci. Up to Hewer. Hewer to Flanagan. Flanagan walking. Flanagan shot and blocked. Picked up by Martin. Martin to Palucci. Palucci going up to Hewer. Hewer going to Flanagan. Back to Hewer. Back to Flanagan. Flanagan down deep to Martin. Martin backhand across. And that's going to go in. Oh, they're going to wave the goal as the net came off. That was a backhanded pass from Martin to Palucci, who sent it home as the net came off, and they're going to wave it. So Bell Tire is going to get robbed here on that goal. They're going to start up again, though. Hewer could take the draw. Puck is down. Agbe drops it back to Flanagan. Flanagan walking the blue line. Setting it back up. Going to Hewer. Hewer walking in. Dropping it to Palucci. Palucci trying to find Agbe in the slot. Knocked down by Hewer. Hewer calms, turns it, sends it up to Palucci. Palucci gets to Flanagan. Spreading back out. Flanagan down to Martin. Didn't quite make it. And Balmoral is going to send that to length. Caitlin dropping it back. Finding Martin. Martin going up the boards. Finding Palucci. Palucci getting it to Hewer. Hewer getting it in on Balmoral zone. Agbe to chase behind the Balmoral net. Agbe now going up the wall. Finding Martin. Martin going over to Flanagan. Setting back up the play. Over to Hewer. Hewer's going to try and drive it down to Palucci and stick the side by, I'm sorry, that is not Palucci, that's Dobbs. Now Agbe. Agbe behind the net. Going back to, I'm sorry, that is Palucci. Palucci up to Hewer, to Flanagan. Flanagan shot in. Rebound opportunity, and it was loose in the crease for a minute. That net is off again. And Bell Tire is going to go for a line change with 23 seconds remaining in the power play and 1 minute and 3 seconds remaining in the period. We've got Dobbs, Markovich out, Kazarowski, McKenzie, Flanagan. Up top, Clenzy shot, blocked out front. Picked up by Kazarowski, sending around to Dobbs. Dobbs going up the wall to Markovich. Markovich back to Dobbs. Dobbs up top to Flanagan. Flanagan down deep, one-time shot. And they couldn't quite find it home. Well, that was a one-timer from Day. And that's going to be the end of the power play. Up to Markovich. Markovich to Flanagan. Flanagan just jumping it back deep. And Bell Tire now got caught a little bit. Mishandled puck by Balmoral. It's picked up by Flanagan and into neutral. Sending it deep is Balmoral. This is going to be picked up by McKenzie. McKenzie circling, going up the wall. 15 seconds remaining in the period. Battle at the half wall. Can't see it. Puck looks like it's finally worked free out into neutral. Going across. Kazarowski to chase. Picked up by Day. Day sends it deep as the period ends. We are going to go into the third with Bell Tire up by 1. Now we're going to be back underway here in Canada. Bell Tire, Balmoral on ice. Carlson. The Flanagans, Cruciano, and Orley. Shot in by Balmoral, wide of the net. Balmoral behind the Bell Tire net. Cruciano with the puck on her stick. Going up ice, finding Carlson. Carlson diving deep. Carlson makes it around Balmoral. Orlick drops back to McKenzie. McKenzie walking. And that puck gets chipped out. Picked up by Caitlin. Caitlin up to Cruciano, who sends it deep. Bell Tire going for a line change. Balmoral collects in their zone. Sends it up the wall. Into neutral. On ice, Clemens, Hewer, Cruciano. Hewer driving it deep into the Balmoral zone. Collected in by the Balmoral goalie. And sent around the wall into the corner. Bell Tire's D change. Morton and Martin out. Balmoral, half wall. Chipping it ahead. Gaining the Bell Tire zone. Defended by Martin. Shot turned aside by Streeter and covered up. .13:51 on the clock. And that puck is down. Balmoral shot. Turned aside out front. Picked up by Morton. Morton and D. Sent out to the slot. Picked up by Martin behind the net. Sent ahead to Hewer. Hewer to Clemens. Clemens chipping it ahead. It's going to make its way into the Balmoral zone. Cruciano chasing it down. Around the wall. Picked up by Balmoral on the half wall. Sent ahead. Collected in neutral zone by Balmoral as they gain the Bell Tire zone. Pushed aside by Martin. Now Martin chips it ahead. Finding Cruciano. Cruciano coming across. Martin in the slot. Martin chasing. Martin with a stick on it as that puck bounces out to neutral. Picked up by Morton. Morton going up ice. Martin going for a change. Balmoral collecting behind their own net. Chased down by Dobbs. Dobbs with a stick on it. Dobbs circling. Dobbs trying to go cross looking for Markovich on the backside. Bowman checked in on D. Pinches up on the half wall. Balmoral now comes out. Day on D. Sent aside by Streeter, making some big saves down in the crease. Not quite sure what the call is here. It looks like we have one going to the box. Kazarowski going into the box with 12:37 on the clock. Not sure what the call was there. A Bell Tire now on a penalty kill for 2 minutes. That puck is down, and that's cleared by, I think that was McKenzie or Caitlin, who's out on D. Agbe and Palucci. Agbe just being a menace down in the zone on this penalty kill. Gets the puck out. Palucci trying to find her. Agbe sending it around, finding Palucci on the backside of the net. Sending it back down. Bounces off the backside of the net, and Balmoral collects. Balmoral sends it up. It's going to be defended by McKenzie. Flanagan driving it deep into the corner. Balmoral picking up the puck, trying to set up their power play. Agbe putting a lot of pressure on Balmoral in this penalty kill. Out front, that puck is going to get covered up as it's collected in by Streeter. Not sure what the whistle was for. The net came off its moorings. And now we are going to have new personnel out there with Orlick, Hewer, Morton, Martin. 1 minute and 11 seconds on the clock. That puck sent ahead. Martin trying to come up with that. Balmoral regains possession. Martin sends it to the corner. Martin dropping Balmoral and clearing that puck around to Morton. Morton hard into the boards with 2 Balmoral players on her. And they finally get it up to their point. Sending it across ice. Blocked by Hewer. Picked up and sent out by Orlick as she goes for a change. Balmoral collecting Bell Tire, letting them take their time as 38 seconds remains in this penalty kill. Hewer gets a stick on that one also. Balmoral coming up through neutral. Balmoral. Now Morton. Morton pushing her wide. Streeter covering it up. And Bell Tire letting the girls know that wasn't a good idea. All right, Bell Tire is going for a line change. Flanagan's checked back in on D here. I believe that is Markovich or Cruciano. Refs kicking Balmoral out of the circle. That is Cruciano. Sent around by Caitlin. That's going to go the length of the ice here. You bet. And Carlson on this. Carlson chasing. Balmoral coming up ice. Carlson able to get a stick on it. Slow that play down, and that goes out. This is going to be the end of the Bell Tire penalty kill as we're back to even strength with 10 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the game. Balmoral chipping it ahead. Picked up by McKenzie. Stopped by Balmoral. Now grabbed by, Palucci. Palucci gaining the zone. Palucci looking for help. Going under the half wall. Balmoral grabs the puck. Picked up by Agbe. Agbe letting it go. Delayed offsides. Able to fend it off. Balmoral gaining the zone. Chased down by Caitlin. Sending it across. Picked up by Agbe. Chipping it over. Sent back in Balmoral. And that puck's going to go wide. That net is, I think, kicked back off its moorings. Yes. All right, so Bell Tire on ice is going to be Dobbs. We've got Agbe. It's like Flanagan. That's McKenzie, Flanagan, Day. And Bell Tire going for the stretch pass. Couldn't quite get there. Was Agbe. She was off to the races. All right, so Dobbs to take this draw. Bowman and Day out for Bell Tire. Puck is down. And Day gets it deep, picked up by Agbay. Agbay now with 2 on her. Picked up by Dobbs. Dobbs up to Day. Day shot in, looking for the rebound out front. Dobbs now in the corner. Dobbs picking it free, coming up the half wall. Dobbs dropping to Day. Day sending it back deep. And we chased down by Orlick. Orlick trying to get it chipped around Balmoral. And Balmoral comes out with it. Out to neutral. This is going to be defended by Bowman. Centering pass. Disrupted. Picked up by Orlick. Orlick chipped ahead. Dobbs going to dump it in. Go for a line change as Clemens comes on. Cruciano's racing down, trying to beat the race there to the puck. Clemens comes in, down into the corner. Out with Hewer. Bowman. Day on D. Cruciano battling into the corner. Picking it up at the half wall. It's Clemens. Clemens sending it deep. Ref not helping. 8:40 remaining in the period. Balmoral behind their own net. Sending it up the half wall. That's going to bounce out to neutral. Icing's going to be waved. Bowman picks it up. Bowman sending it back up to Hewer. Hewer hanging his own. Hewer on the wall. Cruciano is waiting there with her. And Clemens gains possession. Clemens looking for a centering pass. Balmoral collects it in the slot. Going up, 3-on-2 here. Defended by Morton. Coming across the crease. That's cleared out. Off the skate of Hewer and into the corner. Picked up by Morton. Morton up to Cruciano. Cruciano trying to get it out. Balmoral keeping it in. Balmoral sends it deep. Balmoral down in the corner. It's picked up by Bell Tire and sent up the boards. Clemens trying to skate it out. Shot it on net. Is going to freeze play. Bell Tire on a line change. Markovich. Cruciano. Kazarowski. Martin. And I believe that is Morton on ice for D. 7:42 remaining in the game. Center cross. Picked up by Martin. Martin battling through. Balmoral regains possession, sends it in, goes wide of the net. Kazarowski into the corner. Balmoral now behind the net for Bell Tire. That puck sitting out front, covered up by Streeter. And some more antics. And oh, there is a battle happening here. Morton right in the center of the shenanigans. And Bell Tire is going to get a line change. Dobbs, Carlson out. Flanagan's. Puck is won back by Balmoral. Shot in. Is going to be collected in by Streeter. 7:18 on the clock. Flanagan battling in the corner. Balmoral comes out with it. Centering pass, cleared by Dobbs. Up the wall, picked up by Balmoral. At the point, half wall, Dobbs, that's a high stick. Guess that was a high stick on Bell Tire. I swore that was Balmoral. We're going to pretend like it was, and it's a bad call. 7:04 on the clock. Same personnel for Bell Tire on the inadvertent high stick. Incidental. Dobbs. Balmoral sends it in quick. Streeter ready with the glove. Freezes play. And Bell Tire with a line change. Martin and Day, it looks like, out on D. I believe that is Agbay. Hewer. Sent in and picked up by Streeter. All right, redo here. And Hewer tied up, goes to Day. Day goes to Martin. Martin going up ice, finding Agbe. Agbe turning up ice, going with Orlick. Orlick picking up the drop pass. Orlick sending it deep, centering pass. Nobody quite there. Orlick dropping it to Day. Day shot. It was blocked out front, picked up by Balmoral. Balmoral retreating into their own zone, chased by Orlick. Hewer gets a stick on him. Hewer now in the slot. Puck is just bouncing around. Balmoral comes up with it. Comes out to neutral. Defended by Martin here. Balmoral is just going to dump it in. This is going to get chased down by Day into the corner. Day trying to hammer it around. Balmoral. Hewer coming in. Pinching into the wall. Picked up by Martin. Martin blocked the centering pass. Chipped out. Balmoral collects at the line. Blocked by Beltire and sent the length of the ice. That is going to be on net. That is on net. And it's not on net. Oh, we had the inadvertent high stick. And now the icing call. 5:58 on the clock. Beltire line change. Bowman, Day, Agbe, Orlick, and Hewer. Puck is down. Bowman. Balmoral. It slides out. That's going to make it all the way to neutral. Balmoral is going to have to retreat. They're going to dump it back in. It's going to rim around to the opposite corner. Picked up by Cruciano. Cruciano's going the opposite way. Finding Agbe. Agbe, backhand pass. Finding Orlick. Orlick going up. Gaining the zone. Orlick, half wall. 5:31 on the clock. Picked up by Cruciano behind the Balmoral net. Cruciano also stepping in. Too many sisters on this team, so I apologize for the confusion here. Balmoro's shot goes in, covered by Schrader. With Cruciano, McKenzie, Clemens, and Caitlin on ice. 5 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. Beltire still up 1-0. Puck is down, picked up by Flanagan. Caitlin. McKenzie sends it the length. That will be a nice. The Beltire are looking for the stretch pass there. Couldn't quite connect. We have a draw in the Beltire zone. Puck is down. Balmoral going across. Taking a shot wide of the net. Picked up by Balmoral. Defended by McKenzie. Half wall. Balmoral. McKenzie. Circling in front of her own net. Coming out. Gonna go across. Looking for the pass. Intercepted by Balmoral. Clemens on D here. Stepped up for McKenzie as she went up ice. Neutral. Sent in by Balmoral. Chased by McKenzie. McKenzie going back to Caitlin. Caitlin circling, going back behind the net. Picked up by McKenzie. Half wall. Cruciano banking it off the boards. Looking for Dobbs. Dobbs sending it ahead. Trying to find Markovich. Down into the corner. And Balmoral coming out. Up into neutral. Defended by Caitlin. Cruciano sending it back up ice. Balmoral in their own zone, chased by Dobbs. Markovich on ice with Kazarowski. Picked up by Balmoral and sent across. Martin coming across, taking out the Balmoral center pass. Losing her stick in the process. This is picked up. Trying to get it chipped ahead to Kazarowski. Kazarowski gets a stick on it as Balmoral trying to exit their zone. Chipped ahead by Colucci. That puck is floating around in the slot here. Kept in by Hewer. Kazarowski chasing. Now Hewer. This is going to be Balmoral making a breakout. Defended by Morton. Blocked. Gives it behind the net. Picked up by Hewer. Hewer coming across with it. Hewer going up the wall. Off the wall. Trying to find Colucci. Goes the distance here. And we're going to have an icing with 3 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in the period. We will have a face-off in the Bell Tire zone. Hewer out there with Kazarovsky. Martin. Wharton. And I believe Palucci. Puck is down. Hewer tied up at the dot. Picked up by Morton. Balmoral with the puck in the corner, dropping it back to their point. Shot coming through. Blocked by Kazarovsky. Yes, it lands at her feet. She's going to slide it ahead and go for the change as Palucci chases in. Balmoral loses the puck here in their own zone and retreats behind their net. Chased down by Palucci. Centering pass, Agbe over to Morton. Morton sending it in on net. Picked up by Cruciano. Cruciano sending it back deep for Palucci. Dumps Palucci's stick. Picked up by Balmoral. Balmoral, half wall. Picked up by Morton. Morton dumps it back in. Sent back down by Agbe. Morton's shot goes in. Palucci trying to get a tip on it. And Cruciano trying to get it behind the net. Balmoral comes up with it. Sending it up ice. Stepped up by Martin. Martin keeps it out in neutral. Martin now. Martin with room. Martin goes around the ref. Martin in on. Shot goes off the goalie. Goes wide. Picked up by Palucci. Balmoral collects it. Minute 57 remaining. Balmoral coming up ice. Slashed down by Cruciano and picked up by Agbe. Agbe chipping it out to Martin. Martin gaining the zone. Martin going around, and Martin goes in on net and is dumped in the net. Minute 45 remaining in the period. All right, on ice, Cruciano, McKenzie, Flanagan, Orlick, Balmoral coming out to neutral. This is going to be defended by McKenzie. Picked up by Cruciano. Cruciano turning up ice. Trying to chip it ahead. Carlson gets a little bit of room here. Yeah, on offsides. That is offsides. Minute and 27 seconds remaining here. And we've got a line change happening for Beltayo with Hewer stepping out. Dobbs coming in. Markovich. Day. McKenzie, Flanagan. This drop happening right below us. Hewer to take the draw. 9 up at the dot. All the players stepping in, trying to work the puck free. And Balmoral comes out with it. Sends it up the wall. Balmoral neutral. Markovich jumping in. Balmoral retreating in their own zone a little bit. Comes back up in the neutral. Balmoral coming across. McKenzie, Flanagan trying to get it cleared up ice. Sent in by Balmoral. Day to chase. Day up the half wall to Dobbs. Dobbs trying to chip it out. On the Markovich stick. Markovich sends it into neutral. Balmoral retreats. 51 seconds remaining. Beltire needs to be ready, and there's a collision at center ice here. Oh. We're going to have a trip on. Hewer's going to get called for tripping, so Beltire is going to spend the last 45 seconds fending off a penalty kill. Martin, Orlick, Agbe, Caitlin. And they are going to pull the goalie here. This is going to be a 6-on-4. 6-on-4 for 45.3 seconds. Puck is down. Balmoral, shot. Wide of the net. Balmoral. Beltire's looking to contain. Shot in. Cleared out by Martin. Balmoral turning up ice. Block shot. Blocked by Streeter. Picked up by Flanagan. Sent up the length of the ice. That's going to maybe make its way into the... No, just wide of the net. 22 seconds remaining. Balmoral coming up ice quick. That's going to get chipped in. That's going to be covered up. Not covered up. And a quick shot from Balmoral. Picked off. Balmoral coming up ice. Blocked by Martin. The net is off with 7.1 seconds remaining in the game. All right, so I believe that is Dobbs out. Dobbs to take this draw. Tied up. Balmoral, quick shot. Wide of the net. 2 seconds. Sent up ice. That is going to be the end of the game. Baltire is going to come out with their 1-0 victory over Balmoral. So we will be back here tomorrow. For those watching, we will be back on against. We will be back at 11:30. So we will see everybody tomorrow morning at 11:30.